Alright, so we all know weapons in Bluelock are the most important thing to a character. It's what makes certain characters stand out, makes each character unique, and there's so many different weapons out there and different characters, so it's a common question to ask, what is the best weapon in Bluelock? And with the World Cup right around the corner, I think it's time to finally settle this debate, so we know going into it who are the biggest threats, and what are the weapons to look out for. There's so many different weapons, and even many users of the same weapon, but we are going to be going character specific. That's the best way of doing it, because size dribbling isn't the same as Igaguri's dribbling. Come on now. We'll be ranking the top 15 weapons, not including the World 5 or World Class players, but we will be including the new Gen 11 players. I feel like 15 is a good number. It makes the rankings way more balanced, and it gives us more space to put more weapons, compared to if it was just 10 or like 5 of them, it wouldn't feel as balanced. And if I did all the weapons, this video would be an hour long. Ain't nobody wants to rank the Wanima's facial recognition weapon. But anyways, let's get into it. Number 15. Alright, so coming in at number 15, we got Igaguri's fouling. I'm trolling. Actually, coming in at number 15, we got the young buck, Nico's Metavision. I feel like Igaguri's look could technically be put on here, but whatever. Nico's Metavision is going to be coming in at our number 15 spot, just because it's good, but not the best. There are easily so many other Metavision users on this list, who we will see later on, by the way, that are better than him, but that doesn't take away the fact that his Metavision is still pretty good, deserving of that number 15 spot. We've seen him take down players like Isagi using it, be pretty essential to the Uber's formation, and just be a threat on the field because of it. There isn't really much to say about Nico. Metavision is completely broken, but in my opinion, he has the most generic version of it. It's not bad, it's not great, but it is better than any of the other weapons I could compare it to, so Nico coming in at number 15. Number 14 is going to be Gagamaru's Reflexes, a super strong weapon that gives him the title of the best goalkeeper in Bluelock. He can react at the last second, make super crucial plays. It's definitely a weapon you want on your team, especially in the goalkeeper position. So Gagamaru's Reflexes are really good, but I also think it works even better just because it's Gagamaru. His playstyle works super well with having fast reflexes, because bro literally does anything, such as the handstand block we see in the U20, catching Barou's Predator's eye at the last second, and just his physical specs in general. He makes such good use of his reflexes that it's a must-have for any weapon list. Even if he is a goalkeeper, it is a super good and essential weapon that's deserving of the number 14 spot. Coming in at number 13, already making the list really controversial, it's gonna be Nagi's trapping. Alright, I'm talking about current Nagi, not Munchen versus Bastard Nagi, because he's had one of the biggest fall-offs, and I just can't place him any higher than this. Every other character has been able to consistently prove that their weapons are super effective, but Nagi at the moment hasn't been able to do that because of his ego being gone and stuff like that. His trapping hasn't been as effective as before. We see that he scored no goals in the past 2 games, and in the most recent chapter, he wasn't really able to get past the Uber's defense like usual. It's a great weapon, don't get me wrong. I'm not forgetting about Nagi's old feats that we've seen, because his weapon was crazy. It was easily a top 5 weapon before the NEL, and even after Bastard versus Munchen, it was easily like top 7. It was still up there, but currently Nagi's trapping just isn't that useful, and until he can make it good again, he's gonna be sitting at the number 13 spot. So that's already a controversial one, but at the same time, every weapon above the number 13 spot has been able to show, and recently at that they're above Nagi's trapping. So that brings us to number 12, which is the final wall all over Aiku, and well, his Metavision. Alright, everybody saw it coming, but at the same time, his Metavision has been able to help him see the game even more than before. His Metavision has helped him stop Nagi in the most recent game of Ubers versus Munchen, stop Isagi on multiple occasions, and just make really good plays. Honestly, I do feel kind of bad putting Aiku only at the number 12 spot, but I do feel like he's been kind of nerfed since the U20 game, because he was literally teleporting and doing everything during that match. We also see him use Metavision during the game as well, but regardless, it's still a really good weapon. And out of all the other defensive weapons like Ryu's height, Raichi's stamina, or even other defensive Metavisions like Nico, Aiku definitely remains on top as the best defensive weapon, besides a certain someone who we will see later on the list. But Aiku's Metavision, or just his vision of the game, has been his best weapon since his introduction. He really was a big threat just because he was able to read the game like Isagi and counter him because of that. So with the Metavision buff, it helps him even more. His Metavision also puts him in perfect positions to use his other weapons as well, like his physicality and being able to see the weak spots in his team's defense. So Aiku's Metavision coming in at number 12. Bro switched his shirt back. Anyways, coming in at number 11 is going to be Ryo's copy. Now, he's honestly falling off like Nagi as well, but I still think copy is better than Nagi's trapping at the moment. He's able to be that jack of all trades, be a defender, be a midfielder, and also be a forward. Unluckily, he is currently wasting it on Nagi, but it's still a really good weapon. He's able to copy people like Rin and even Sai, and even though it's not as good as them, it's still super impressive to pull that off. Like, I imagine it would be super annoying. It was able to kind of stop Shido when he was using a defensively, push through Bastard Munen's defense when he was using it offensively, and also support Nagi every step of the way as midfielder. I am kind of Rayo biased because I do think he has a lot of potential, and honestly, I would put Copy higher. I used to think it was like one of the most broken weapons, and on paper it is, but like Nagi, he isn't really playing the best currently, and until we see him split with Nagi, we won't see that peak Rayo, so number 11 for him. And following that, at the number 10 spot, we have Hiyori's IQ or vision of the game. Metavision again. Metavision is really a broken ability. It's already made an appearance 3 times on this list, but Hiyori's, from what we've seen, has been super broken. He was already a super calm player with super accurate passes and really good dribbling on top of that. So by adding Metavision to see every single scenario and the best outcome, you get a super deadly midfielder. Now, I tried to decide like one weapon out of his arsenal that was the best, but for Hiyori, it's literally so close between all of them. Like, I can't decide between his dribbling, passing, and his vision. His passes are literally super accurate being compared to Itoshi Sai. He's also solo dribbled past the Uber's defenders and got past Lorenzo, a new Gen 11 player, by the way, like twice. But Metavision just seems like it helps them both and enhances it. Even before he was confirmed to have Metavision, we all just knew Hiyori could read the game since he had really high game IQ. So I think Metavision and his vision of the game is Hiyori's best weapon, coming in at number 10. Number 9 is going to be Manshine City's actual carry, Shigiri Hyoma, and his speed. Honestly, Shigiri's speed has been a super underrated weapon in my opinion, but I'm happy it's getting more highlights since we see him scoring and defending with it in the NEL, especially when Nagi and Rayo aren't performing. It's such a versatile weapon. He can just run up and down the pitch, switching between offense and defense, hounding players, or using his speed to score his own goals. Second selection, in my opinion, really highlighted Shigiri's speed. We see him use it to score and get past 2 players, and then at the same time use it to hunt and mark every player that has the ball. The extra pressure from his weapon made such a difference in that game. His speed also gives him opportunities to use 44 Panther Snipe as well. You have a really versatile weapon that can both attack and defend. Don't really need to say much. Shigiri's speed coming in at number 9. Number 8. Alright, this is the first really debatable spot in my opinion. You could put him 1 lower or even 1 higher, but coming in at number 8, it's going to be Botcher's dribbling. I personally think Botcher's dribbling is better than Shigiri's speed on offense, obviously, but defense, Shigiri has him beat. That's why I had a hard time debating between these two. So even though they're both pretty versatile, Botcher's offense has always proven to be absolutely crazy, so that's my reasoning. In every single arc of Bluelock, Botcher has went solo against the enemy team by himself and proven his dribbling to be absolutely crazy. We see it in Team Z versus Team V, 1v3ing Nagi, Barou, and Shigiri in the second selection, passing the U20, almost scoring by himself, and then passing NEL players and scoring 3 goals so far. Pretty crazy he's been able to do that in every single arc. It's a really strong offensive option, and with Botcher going to Barcha as well, he upgraded it even more. Since he's connecting his creativity to it and also playing a bit more passively, he's upgraded his main weapon even more. Super good weapon. I think Botcher is deserving of that number 8 spot. And at number 7, it's going to be the king himself, Barou's shooting. So this includes his mid-range shot and Predator's Eye. Barou's shooting, I think, is his best weapon out of his arsenal and ranks the highest here. For example, even though he has charging skills and can pass the team, players like Botcher are better in that compartment, but not many players can shoot like Barou in my opinion. When he's in his zone, it's almost a guaranteed goal, and on top of that, he's using Predator's Eye to take advantage of his opponent's blind spot. I think his shooting is what makes Barou so dangerous. He proves how dangerous of a weapon it is as well, scoring more than 5 goals that we know, maybe even the other 2 on the most recent game against Manshine City, which makes him either tied with the most goals in the NEL or the most. So Barou's shooting coming in at number 7. Number 6 was another hard one I had a hard time picking out. You can debate Barou being number 6 and this one being number 7, but as a weapon, I'm gonna put Shido's instincts here. If I made the goals he made too, I would probably explode as well. Shido's instincts is single-handedly one of the best weapons that we've seen. Like Barou, it's almost a guaranteed goal in the penalty. Even when the shot looks damn near impossible, he'll twist around and somehow make it. I can't even really explain it, to be honest. We've all witnessed it in the Japan U20 match. He's the reason why the Japan U20 even had a fighting chance against Bluelock. So even though he scored less than Barou, his shooting is better than Barou's shooting, if that makes sense. You can debate that Barou is a better overall player when it comes to scoring, with his dribbling, feints, and stuff like that. But in terms of their best weapons, which is shooting, I do think Shido is better, and why I put him in the 6th spot. Alright, so I've been kind of breezing through the list because I know this top 5 debate is going to be what's really important and takes a lot of time in explaining, so let's get into it. So starting off our top 5, coming in the 5th spot, it's going to be Isagi's Metavision. His vision of the game so far is the best we have seen, on the same level as other new Gen 11 players, which is absolutely crazy. Without Metavision, Isagi wouldn't be able to do anything in the NEL. NEL Isagi pre-Metavision and post-Metavision are 2 completely different things, especially in the Ubers match. I would say his use of Metavision helped carry the team, shutting down Barou 4 times, intercepting and having nice steals, being able to use other players to his advantage, and just putting himself in perfect positions. Isagi's meta vision is absolutely broken. Like, I don't really want to sound like a broken record, but he's countered every single weapon below his spot. And he did more than the defenders in the Ubers game. I don't know how that's even possible. It's a completely broken ability. Meta vision also works just literally perfectly with all his other weapons. Just like how barou shooting works well with his playstyle, meta vision fits perfectly for Isagi just because it can put him in perfect positions to use off the ball, direct shot, and whatnot. Reading the game gives him the ability to beat out other players even more talented than him, like Kaiser or Lorenzo or something like that, and also take advantage of their mistakes. We all know how Isagi is on another level. You can debatably put him higher, but I think number 5 is the perfect spot for current Isagi, as there is a certain someone who is always ahead of him. Of course, I'm talking about Itoshi Rin, and weapon-wise, I'm gonna go with his flexibility. Look, alright, I know it's kind of a cop-out answer because you're comparing everything Rin has to Isagi's one weapon, which is meta vision, but I feel like Rin is the sole exception to this, just because all of it is equal. His vision of the game, his shooting, physical specs, all of it are really equal to each other, and we all know that, and he is the best all-rounder in Bluelock, even over Ryo, whose whole character is literally being an all-rounder. I think Rin's character as well has been the fact that he is the whole package. He's proved it with a hat trick against Munchen. He has the most or second most goals in the NEL currently, and he keeps improving his weapon. Nagi also compliments how Rin improved everything when he pulled his hat trick off. Now there is Destroyer mode, which I believe in the future will be Rin's signature weapon, but since we don't have too much information on it, I do think his flexibility is better than Destroyer mode, so that's why I chose it over that. His vision was on par with Isagi before, and I'm assuming still will be, and he also added new shooting tactics that we saw in PXG versus Barcha, so Rin's flexibility still proves to be a top tier weapon. But it don't matter if you got a good weapon if you can't use it. Coming in at number 3 is gonna be Lorenzo's defense, marking, whatever it is. I honestly don't really know what to classify it as, but he's not new gen 11 for any reason. He was able to shut down Kaiser the whole Ubers match. His marking abilities make it super hard to play normally. Again, you can have one of the best weapons in the game, but it won't matter if he's constantly on you. It even works against meta vision users. We've seen him get in the way on so many different occasions, intercepting, stealing possession, and just being super annoying. However, it does have its flaws though, so he can't mark more than one person at a time, and we saw the second he let Kaiser go, he was able to capitalize on it. It's not a perfect weapon against players like that, but I think if you match Lorenzo against Rin or Isagi, he wouldn't have as much as a hard time marking them compared to Kaiser, so I think his weapon is enough to stop their weapons. But Lorenzo would have a hard time stopping Sai's dribbling, which is coming in at number 2, Sai's dribbling. Sai has had one of the most dominant performances we've ever seen in Bluelock, especially for only playing one game. The fact that he's also super relevant to the plot and hasn't actually tried yet, I assume he's going to be a super important character to Bluelock's plot later on, and because of that, we will see him keep on improving and getting better. We know he has high soccer IQ as well as one of the best midfielders, but his dribbling, in my opinion, is what makes him stick out. He hasn't even gotten a meta vision confirmation yet as well, so once we see that eventually, I don't even know. The thought of that is already scary enough, but let's go over his dribbling feats. He has passed every single player in Bluelock on more than one occasion, using completely different dribbles and mix-ups. If he really wanted to, I'm sure he could have scored again after passing up everyone in Bluelock with ease. He literally passed the whole offensive and defensive line by himself. It's pretty much what Batra did, but on a higher scale without even trying his hardest. With so many mix-ups as well, I do think Sai can get past Lorenzo. We've even seen Hiryo do it, so that's why I'm putting him at the number 2 spot. And finally, at the number 1 spot, using the process of elimination, you probably already know it, but it's going to be Kaiser Impact. Currently, I think Kaiser Impact is better than Sai's dribbling and Lorenzo's defense, and it may just be because we've seen more of it, but the feats he has is just crazy. The first time we've seen it, regular players couldn't even react to what just happened. He also scored against a whole line of defenders, and then the beautiful bicycle kick. With the confirmed meta vision as well, it helps put him in situations to use Kaiser Impact as well. I think that's also a deciding factor why I put him above Sai currently. Obviously, it doesn't really beat people in a 1v1 like Sai's dribbling does, but Kaiser Impact is scary enough where you need to constantly have another new Gen 11 player marking him, and even then he still scored one of the best goals in the series. As a weapon itself, I would say Kaiser Impact and the impact it has on the game is better than Sai's dribbling. Maybe it's not as versatile, but that's fine. I think the pros outweigh the cons here. And using meta vision as well, like Isagi, he can put himself in perfect positions to use Kaiser Impact. We've seen it in his thought process as well, and it's even better than world-class players as said before. Currently, from what we've seen, Kaiser is the closest to world-class level. Alright, so there it is. That's what I think the top 15 weapons in Bluelock are currently. I probably could go into more detail about why I chose what, but again, this video would be super long, and I was able to summarize my choices in the fewest lines possible without rambling or reiterating the same point with different examples. Remember, this is just my opinion. Everyone has their different biases and whatnot. This is just what I think currently. Let me know if you'd make any changes, if you agree or disagree with my list, maybe even make a list on your own. Just comment all that down below. Thank you guys so much for supporting as always, especially if you're this far in the video. My name's Hiryo, and I'll see you guys next time.